Makes you feel all warm and fuzzy about the possibility of him becoming president again, doesn't it? That he thinks he could do that. Not only thinks he could do it, but that he could get away with it and not be subject to crime. I mean, look, who do we want to be?
That's Chris Christie talking about Donald Trump's legal argument that he has immunity for anything he did as president. Now, before Chris Christie dropped out of the race on Wednesday, Christie was one of the very few Republicans in this race who was raising the alarm about a second Trump term. And Christie, a former federal prosecutor, said that he would do everything he could to stop Trump from getting reelected. Michael, let's start where we ended before we had to go to break. You were saying...
Yes. Who do we want to be? I love that question. It is a question that I've posed to many of my Republican friends over the last few years, and it's a question I've now recently, in various venues, been posing more broadly to the country. Who do you want to be? What does all of this say about us? And I think that question is even a little bit more powerful than the "do you love democracy" question. Why? Because it's more personal. Who do you want to be? It really speaks to how you view yourselves as an American. And I thought Chris Christie laid that out very nicely. And I think one way to help frame that question for people, if we could, let's listen to Donald Trump on Bedlam. When he tonight in his town hall, when asked about Bedlam, let's talk a little bit about that.
It'll be Bedlam in the country. It's a very bad thing. It's a very bad precedent. As we said, it's the opening of a Pandora's box, and it's a very sad thing that's happened with this whole situation. When they talk about threat to democracy, that's your real threat to democracy.
You just used the word Bedlam. Will you tell your supporters now, no matter what, no violence?
That's it, right there. It's Bedlam. It's violence. Is that who we are?
What was interesting tonight is that he got pressed on, what did you mean when you said this? Can you define it? One, I actually don't think he was able to offer a definition of what Bedlam is and isn't, and he tried to somehow bring it back to Joe Biden, which is this move we've seen him do over and over again, which is to jujitsu the claims against him. Donald Trump is dangerous for democracy, as he has proven through his own words and actions, notably on January 6th, in an effort to overturn the results of a fair and free election, and tried to say, oh, I'm not the danger to democracy. Joe Biden is the danger to democracy. And he understands it doesn't matter if anyone buys into that. It just creates a sense of chaos that benefits him.
Yeah, it's the off-ramp. He's always looking for the off-ramp. It's the diversion. It's the projection. It's all of those things. But what's troubling at this late hour, not necessarily of this night, but of this journey, because we are 8 years into this, right, is how much Americans are still buying the Bedlam story. How much they're still like, you know what, I could use a little Bedlam in my life because that'll help deal with some things I don't want to have to deal with. And that's not been the American spirit. And so for me, it's how Donald Trump sucks the life out of that spirit and replaces it with this darker image of the country, where the three of us are not the best representation of the country, but he is.
Yeah, we're the other. I'm taking us back, but when Donald Trump was inaugurated, his speech was the darkest inauguration speech I've ever heard. He promised American carnage.
Good example.
And we heard tonight in this town hall, further just teasing out, I think, more American carnage. Again, it sounded palatable. It sounded plain speak. And if you did not pay attention to what you were hearing Donald Trump say, you would think he was speaking normally. The immunity thing, the Bedlam thing, the violence piece, him promising me to be a dictator on day one, it is, first of all, is something he continuously says over and over and over and over and over again. And to your point, he does oh, no, it's Joe Biden that wants to do that, because he knows that in places across this country, in media organizations, not this one, sometimes he says it and then the people write it up. Donald Trump said this, Joe Biden responds this way. And this is not, I can't say it enough, a normal election. There is no equivalency. And particularly in this moment, it's okay to say that these two things are not the same.
I want to pull up real quick just that graphic that we have that shows all of the Trump legal cases and the political dates on the calendar, right? That you have the New York civil fraud trial closing arguments, you have the Iowa caucus coming up, you have the E. Jean Carroll civil suit. Before you even get to the cases that I think we can say are presidentially defining, right? Jack Smith's two cases, the Mar-a-Lago docs case, the January 6th case, the election interference case, Fani Willis's case out of Georgia. You just have these other issues, right? E. Jean Carroll, about whom the action has already been decided, right? We know he did something wrong. The only open question is how much is he going to pay for what he has already done wrong? In the civil fraud trial, the question isn't, did he do it or not? The question is, what should the punishment be? There are multiple questions about his criminality as a businessman, as a media personality. And then before you even get to this question of Donald Trump, the president,